Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I cannot believe it is already the last day of January. Getting closer and closer to spring and summer for those of us that suffer from seasonal affect disorder and the gloomy, cloudy, snowy, rainy, just dark days get us down and we just want to stay in bed all day long. So we're getting closer and closer to spring and summer. We're 1 month down. For us in Indiana, the Midwest, typically February is the worst month of winter when it comes to all that kind of weather. Now, I don't mind it. I like snow. What I don't like are these days that we've been having recently where it's rainy and it's cold, but it's not so cold that we get snow. I mean, if we're going to get snow and cold weather, like, I want to get snowed in. You know what I mean? So anyway, I thought I would go through and pick out some, I've got 3 books to read today, go through and pick out some good meditations to read for the last day of January going into February. Let's see. Okay, where do I want to start with this? I think I'm going to start with the Daily Book of Positive Quotations, which I now think we're going on our 2nd year of reading these, but that's okay. So January 31st, Strength in Adversity. I feel like I just read this not too long ago. So if I just read this in a meditation, or I don't know, maybe I read it for myself or something, I don't know. Adversity draws men together and produces beauty and harmony in life's relationships, just as the cold of winter produces ice flowers on the window panes, which vanish with the warmth. Soren Kierkegaard. We see it after every major disaster, people opening their hearts, their homes, and their wallets to help others. On a smaller, more personal scale, friends help each other in times of adversity, and even strangers rise to acts of heroism when the situation demands it. We all have within us the desire and ability to help others. It's too bad that we forget this until adversity strikes. If I would help someone in a disaster, why can't I help someone right now when there is no disaster? What small thing can I do today for someone, even someone I don't know? I think this is a fantastic meditation and a good reminder for myself. I think, you know, when somebody's, it almost seems at times we're attracted to kind of like tragedy occurring because then it gives us meaning to our lives, or it gives us a purpose to help other people. I know people in my life that are very good at helping in times of tragedy. I mean, they're very good, you know, when somebody passes away, and they're very good with bringing the casseroles and the bread. My mother and my aunt were 2 of those people. Like, they almost kind of did better in chaos, which totally makes sense because they grew up in chaos, and my home growing up was chaos and tragedy. So there's a lot of people, though, that I don't necessarily think they have to have tragedy. They just do really well, you know. They're really good support systems. They're really good for helping people. They're really good, you know, like when my mom was sick at home before she went to the hospital, I was amazed at how many people were just willing to, I mean, there's so many women that just came over here and sat with my mother hours on end, like literally would do the crossword with her and, you know, would read the basic text and watch movies, and they would literally sit for just hours, you know, when my mom slept. And I would be like, I mean, I could do a little while and then I'd be like, okay, I'm like, I don't sit real well by myself anyway, you know. So I'm so thankful to those women, you know, and I just think there are some people that are made for it and there are others that aren't. But I do think that all of us can be helpful in any situation, you know, to other people. And I think that, you know, like one of the things I've really worked hard on in the last couple of years is to suit up and show up and then just be a body that somebody can say, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, you know. My friend Tanya is somebody that is really great at this. You know, she, I've told this story before, but, you know, she, one day I was complaining about a bunch of stuff that was going on in my life, and it was just petty. It was just BS. It was totally petty, right? And at the time, she and her husband have another couple that they're really good friends with. They're still really good friends with the wife. It's one of Tanya's closest friends. And the husband died of a brain tumor. And so they just really couldn't do a whole lot. They were at the house, obviously. They couldn't leave. And so he was in hospice for quite some time. So Tanya went over, I said to her, like, oh, after my complaining, you know, for a half an hour in the car, I go, so what did you do today? And she said, oh, well, I went over to so-and-so's house and, you know, their house, and I cleaned it, and I made them dinner, and I brought them some movies so that they could watch a movie. And I said to her, I said, like, how do you get to be that person? Like, that's who I want to be, right? Like, in my heart and in my head, like, that's who I want to be. But I just don't think I am organically trained to go there. Like, I think I have to practice it until it just becomes second nature for me. And she said that's who I was taught to be, you know, as a person in recovery as well. And, you know, like, that's who I want to be. I want to be the person that when I know somebody is going through something, one of these meditations actually that I read last year, it said that when somebody is sick, or if somebody has passed away, or somebody's going through something, don't ask them like, what do you need from me? Like, or if you need me, let me know, or whatever. Just do it. Like, just do those things for them, you know? And, I think in 2020, that's who I'm going to aim to be. I'm going to aim to be the person that just does it. That doesn't ask, like, what do you need from me? But just goes and does it, right? Like, I think that's who I'm going to be in 2020 and try to be, you know, better yet, a better version of myself. So I think that's a great meditation. But, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, great periods of tragedy that people are going through, where we help people out. It can be any small thing, you know. It can be somebody trying to pull into a parking space in the Walmart parking lot, and there's a cart, and we move the cart so that they can get in. You know, it can be opening a door for somebody. It can be, I don't know, you know, like buying somebody's coffee at Starbucks, or it can be any little thing, you know. If you have leftovers, one of the things that meant the most to my mom was that my aunt, and I found out later, my aunt would make huge quantities of it just to give my mom leftovers, because she knew that my mom probably wouldn't eat real healthy if she didn't. Because my mother would just like eat ice cream, and she got on like, she would be fixated on like one thing, like blueberries, because Dr. Oz would say blueberries are really healthy for you. So all my mom would eat is like blueberries and then like a gallon of ice cream at night, because she was obsessed with ice cream. But anyway, my aunt would like make a pot of chili, and then she would give my mom like tons of leftovers, or meatloaf or whatever, you know, and then she'd give her tons of it, and turkey tetrazzini, tuna tetrazzini, and then she would give my mom tons of it, soups, whatever, bread, homemade bread. And, you know, she would do that, I think, because, you know, it was just, my aunt was just such a giving person anyway. But there are so many things we can do, giving people leftovers, going to your neighbor and being like, hey, I have this leftover, do you want it? You know, whatever. There's so many things that we can do. And I actually had a friend of mine, you can't see it, here I'll show you. He did this painting that's up there on our wall. And I used to work with him. He was actually in my aftercare group when I got sober. He and I were really good friends. His name was Randy, and he died of a brain aneurysm. And Randy and I were super, super close. But Randy would be, like, I remember one time he had this necklace on, and he had made it, and it was 2 nails. It was a cross, but it was 2 nails. It was amazing. And he was an artist, and he did paintings, and he also did sculpture. He like pounded on rocks. He was real famous here in Indianapolis for a while, and it was interesting because he was one of the original outlaws from the biker gang, and he got sober, and he like turned into this person that he never thought that he could be. And he was one of the most, not that there's anything wrong with the outlaws, but he was one of the kindest, caring people I'd ever met in my entire life. He would literally give you the shirt off his back, and did at one point give me a shirt that he had on, and I was like, oh, it was a vest, and I was like, I love your vest, Randy, and he gave it to me. He had painted on the back with like oil paints. It was really cool. He did a couple paintings for me, and it was funny because when we were in aftercare together, our counselor used to laugh at us because, you know, here was this, you know, 22, 23-year-old young gay guy that was, you know, like, but had been spoiled, you know, and whatever. And then there was this like 40-year-old, you know, biker guy that, you know, had lived kind of a crazy life, and we became just inseparable, you know, in early sobriety, and he was one of my dearest friends. And then we both ended up working at the same treatment program together. It was fantastic, man, absolutely fantastic. And he was somebody that just literally would give you anything that he had, you know. And I think about people in my life that have been like that and how they get there, you know, and I think it's just about doing it. I don't think it's about really like, you know, putting it into, I don't know. I just think you just do it. You just do it until it becomes second nature. All right, let's read the next meditation. Where are we at on time? Okay. The next meditation is from Daily Affirmations for Forgiving and Moving On, perfectionism. Today I realize that my perfectionism is born out of anxiety and a desire to maintain a sense of control. In a dysfunctional household, one feels lost and out of control. I'm like in my head, I have to tell you. Like I'm in my head just like thinking about him. Like I see that painting up there, and Alex was talking to his friend Sarah about it one night when she was here. But like it's been, you know, 25 years since, well, I think he passed a year and a half after we got sober, 2 years after we got sober, so it's been like 23 years. I feel so blessed to have run through so many people in my life that have really profoundly changed who I am as a person. You know, it's very much like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. You know, we encounter these characters in our lives who, if we allow them, they can have a major impact on us. Okay, perfectionism, January 31st. Today I realized that my perfectionism is born out of anxiety and a desire to maintain a sense of control. In a dysfunctional household, one feels lost and out of control. There is a subtle sense of chaos in the atmosphere that feels as if it can erupt at any time. One tries to do things perfectly to keep trouble at bay. I am in charge of my own life today. My perfectionism gets in the way of spontaneity, and my control does not let me live a day at a time. Recovery is not only about working through old feelings, it is also about recognizing dysfunctional patterns and letting them go. The dysfunctional patterns are control and perfectionism. I'm willing to experience difficult feelings without swinging into action in my defensive behaviors. I'm able to feel feelings as they happen to be spontaneous. The artist who aims at perfection in everything achieves it in nothing. Eugene Delacroix. I was laughing a little bit because I was thinking about just different ways that I was. Like when I was a kid, you know, and I think about the fact that like my home life was just so chaotic, you know. And so I had probably, I don't know, 9 million stuffed animals. They all had names, you know, every single one of them. I had this blue bear named Steve. You know, every single one of them had a name and a backstory. There was always a backstory, you know. And I would make my bed every day and I would line them up. Like they had to be like all lined up and tucked in like a certain way. And I don't know why I was thinking about that. I was thinking about my bookshelf was like all my books were like, you know, organized a certain way. And I think, you know, it was me making sense, like not having any control in this completely out of control scenario that I needed to find a little bit of perfectionism. I need to make some sense of it. You know, I've let go of that today. I really have. And I don't experience that level of anxiety with perfectionism today. Do I have other OCD traits? Absolutely. I absolutely do. And I think sometimes maybe perfectionism would be a healthier one than the ones, you know, that I have. And I think by and large, most addicts and alcoholics do. And it's a need to control something, you know, externally that we don't have any control over. And I think that there have been times, you know, that I have, there are times in my life that I have, you know, a better control over what's going on, and as there are times that there aren't, that I don't, you know, and that then it flares up and it comes out. And I notice it, like today, I notice it like right away when it comes up. But there have been times in my life, I haven't actually talked a bunch about this. Every time I say, would you guys like me to talk more about it? Like people, you know, always say, yes, please do. And then I always kind of forget to. But like, you know, I mean, I've had times in my life where I had to see the lines in the carpet. You know, I was a tapper and a counter. And what I mean by that is that, you know, I had to tap, you know, lightning fixtures, alarm clocks, door locks, everything, you know, like 4 times, whatever. And, so I'm not there today, thankfully. I do feel it kind of like pull at me at times, and then I realize, okay, what's going on? And then that's when I need to do evaluation and inventory. But I don't have that sense of perfectionism with like the area that I live in. And obviously, if you saw, I mean, look, you know. But I have to tell you what's kind of funny about it is that because I was that at one point, I really was. Because I was that at one point, you know, and I'm not now, when I go into people's homes that are, like, you can tell, okay, like, literally nothing is there's nothing that's out of order, everything's I mean, I just want to, like, knock a plant over, you know, by accident. Oh, I'm sorry, I got dirt all over your carpet. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, I just need to, like, disturb perfection to because that's where I live perfectly, okay, is in a little bit of chaos that can be taken care of and cleaned up. Like, I can live there. Like, that's where I live today, you know? I don't know, sometimes it makes me happy when I look over and I see a little bit of dust on a table, you know? It's like, okay, the world's gonna go on, you know? It's like, not everything has to be perfect. So anyway, okay, I think I actually had one more. I was gonna read from the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, but I think I'm gonna leave it for that, for tonight, and let you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. And I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.